So today I am announcing that the licence fee will be frozen for the next 2 years. And that it will rise in line with inflation for the following 4 years. The BBC wanted the fee to rise to over £180 by the end of this settlement. Instead, it will remain fixed at £159 until April 2024. That's more money in the pockets of pensioners, in the pockets of families who are struggling to make ends meet. Mr. Speaker, we are supporting households at a time when they need that support the most. And this settlement sends an important message about keeping costs down while also giving the BBC what it needs to deliver on its remit. This approach to funding will be the same for the BBC and for S4C. However, I can also announce that S4C will receive an additional £7.5 million per annum in funding from 2022 to support the development of their digital offering. This is a 9% increase for S4C following 5 years of frozen funding. Mr. Speaker, we believe that this is a fair settlement for the BBC. It is a fair settlement for S4C, and most importantly, it's a fair settlement for licence fee payers across the United Kingdom. And let's not forget, the BBC will continue to receive billions in annual public funding, allowing it to deliver its mission and public purposes and to continue doing what it does best. And to support the BBC even further in what is a fast-changing broadcasting landscape, the government will more than double the borrowing limit of the BBC's commercial arm to £750 million. This will enable the BBC to access private finance as it pursues an ambitious commercial growth strategy, boosting investment in the creative economy across the UK. But as Tim Davies said in his first speech as Director General of the corporation, the BBC must be a simpler, leaner organisation that offers better value to licence fee payers, and we agree with this. Ultimately, the settlement strikes the right balance between protecting households and allowing broadcasters to deliver their vital public responsibilities, whilst also encouraging them to make further savings and efficiencies. Mr. Speaker, the licence fee settlement is only one step in our roadmap for reform of the BBC. In the last few months, I've made it clear that the BBC needs to address issues around impartiality and groupthink. Those problems were highlighted definitively by the recent Sirota review, and the BBC's own leadership rightly recognised those findings in full and committed to deliver all of the review's recommendations in its 10-point action plan on impartiality and editorial standards. And I have had constructive discussions with the BBC about these issues in recent months. But the BBC now needs to put those words into action. It needs to convince the British public that those changes are in fact being made and to provide regular and transparent accounts of its progress. We will shortly begin the mid-term review of the BBC's charter, which will consider the overall governance and regulation of the BBC. And a key part of that review will look at whether the BBC's action plan on impartiality has in fact materially contributed to improving the internal governance of the organisation. But it's also time to look further into the future. Mr. Speaker, as any serious commentator will tell you, the broadcasting landscape has changed beyond all recognition over the past decade. We're living in a world of streaming giants, of on-demand and on pay-per-view and smart TVs. Technology is changing everything. 97% of homes already have super-fast broadband. A family in Cumbria can stream 5 different movies in 5 different rooms in its house at any one time. And our gigabit rollout is transforming those networks even further. Over 65% of UK households now have access to the fastest connection on the planet. As the tech has changed, so have audience habits. particularly amongst younger viewers. So it's time to begin asking those really serious questions about the long-term funding model of the BBC and whether a mandatory licence fee with criminal penalties for individual households is still appropriate. As we have said before, we will therefore undertake a review of the overall licence fee model, and those discussions will begin shortly. Mr. Speaker, the BBC has been entertaining and informing us for 100 years, and I want it to continue to thrive and be a global beacon in the UK and in the decades to come. But this is 2022, not 1922. We need a BBC that is forward-looking and ready to meet the challenges of modern broadcasting. A BBC that can continue to engage the British public and that commands the support from across the breadth of the UK, not just the London bubble. A BBC that can thrive alongside Netflix and Amazon Prime and all of its other challenges which attract younger viewers. The licence fee settlement represents a significant step in that journey and in our wider reform of the BBC. I look forward to continuing working with the BBC and others across the industry over the coming years to secure the future of these vital British services. I commend this statement to the House.
I now come to the Shadow Secretary of State, Lucy Powell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I completely agree with you that it's a disgrace that announcement of this importance was not first made to Parliament, and I look forward to the leak inquiry that you mentioned as well. May I take this opportunity to congratulate the Secretary of State for coming top of the teachers' pet list. She was the first Cabinet Minister to tweet support for the Prime Minister. She was the first to volunteer to do a broadcast round. And now she's been the first to throw up a distraction and in finding someone else to blame for the Prime Minister's disintegrating leadership. The BBC's reporting, of course. The licence fee deal must be fair to fee payers, whilst ensuring the BBC can do what it does best. There should be no blank cheques. However, the government claims this is all about the cost of living crisis. I mean, pull the other one. What is it about the £13.57p a month that marks it out for such immediate and special attention to address the cost of living over the £1,200 a year increase in energy and household bills, or the £3,000 a year taxes increases that her government has imposed? Is the licence fee really at the heart of the cost of living crisis?
Of course not.
Or is this really about their long-standing vendetta against the BBC? Now it's part of Operation Red Meat to save the Prime Minister from becoming dead meat. Apparently, negotiations with the BBC hadn't even been finalised when the Culture Secretary gave the details to the Sunday newspaper on the very weekend the Prime Minister's position was most in peril. I leave it to you and others, Mr. Speaker, to judge the timing of that. She has proven today the Conservatives may know the price of the licence fee, but not its value. The last time they targeted it, the over 75s paid the price.
Exactly.
So what assessment has she made of the impact of this 2-year freeze on BBC output and commissioning and on the wider creative industries more broadly? Is she happy to become the Secretary of State for repeats? But this isn't enough. Oh, there's more coming, there's more coming. We've got lots of fun to be had with this, don't worry. But this isn't enough red meat for the Culture Secretary. She won't stop until her cultural vandalism has destroyed everything that's great about Britain. Vandalism is exactly what it is to tweet on a Sunday with no notice, no discussion or thought, the end to the unique funding of the BBC altogether without any clue as to what will replace it. So perhaps she will explain how the BBC will continue valued services that just wouldn't be commercially viable. First, how can it continue to support local journalism where so many have recently failed? In many areas, the BBC is the last local news desk standing. Second, how would a commercial-only BBC be able to play such a crucial role, as it has done, to levelling up and growing the creative industries across our regions and nations, from Cardiff to Salford and elsewhere? They're silent on that one. I support the increased funding for S4C, but they claim to support the union. So what assurance can she provide for the continuation of distinct broadcasting in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland when there's no licence fee? Third, would her cutback BBC be able to continue with the World Service and its global soft power, which her government's review only last year described as the most trusted broadcaster worldwide? Would it? Finally, what would happen to BBC Learning, Bite Size and children's educational programming, which frankly did a much better job than the government did of getting high-quality education into children's homes during lockdown when they couldn't even provide an iPad? The impartiality of the BBC is crucial to trust in it. By explicitly linking the charter renewal to the BBC's editorial...
Order. Quite rightly, I wanted to the Secretary of State in silence. I expect the same respect to be given to the Shadow Secretary of State. And those voices that I keep hearing, I know who's behind the mask. So let me reassure you that if you want to go out early, don't let me help you on your way. Lucy Powell.
I actually know that the honourable member is a big fan of mine, but he's just trying to hide it behind his mask secretly. The impartiality of the BBC is crucial to trust in it. By explicitly linking the charter renewal to the BBC's editorial decisions, the government sounds more like a tin pot dictatorship than a healthy democracy. The BBC creates great quality, British-produced programming, from royal weddings to Strictly Come Dancing to Great British Drama and championing of new music. It's at the cutting edge of harnessing the digital age. Of course it needs to change with the times and review its output and reach, but it is a well-loved, trusted British treasure. It is the envy of the world. But the government is in trouble, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister is casting around for people to blame, and the Culture Secretary has stepped up to provide some red meat. Well, it won't work. This is not how the future of our jewel in the crown and the cornerstone of our world-leading creative industries should be determined. She will have a fight on her hands if she wants to destroy it. Thank you.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think there are about 30 questions in that statement, so I'll try just to address the top points. So, first of all, Mr. Speaker, it is nobody's intention to destroy the BBC. In fact, I completely agree with the Honourable Lady, it is a beacon. But the BBC licence fee is not a small amount of money for families who are working hard across the UK, struggling to pay that bill or face bailiffs at their door or a court appearance in a magistrate's court. Who are we to say it is a small amount of money? That is a disgrace. It is a significant sum. It is also regressive. Whether you are getting by on a minimum wage or on a multi-million-pound presenter's salary, you fork out the same amount of money. That is not right. Only those who haven't faced hard choices on what they can or can't afford for their families on a weekly basis would claim that it was a small amount of money. And as a point of principle, we cannot add to that bill at a time when every family is facing pressure on their wallets. So would the Honourable Lady like to indicate from a sedentary position, does she support freezing the licence fee for 2 years and helping those hard-pressed families? Does she support it? Is that a no? She's shaking her head. So the Honourable Lady does not support freezing the licence fee to help those hard-pressed families who need every bit of help in the face of rising global energy costs and rising pressures on inflation. The Honourable Lady has declined to help those hard-working families. And, Mr. Speaker, what we are saying is that moving forward, we need to decide and discuss and debate. So bring it on, everybody in this House. Let's discuss what a BBC in 2027 will look like. It is not a policy. We're announcing a debate and a discussion. Let's all get involved positively.
Father of the House, Sir Peter Bottomley.
Can I say to my venerable